Us, what's up? It's me back again, Analog Attack. And yes, he's back again. Delighted to see he's over there, Mr. Chris Corry. Morning, Chris.
Good morning, sir. It's nighttime here, but you know,
So, time for some night metal.
yeah, I have no night metal to share today. Maybe one night metal adjacent thing to talk about.
Cool. So, today we're going to be thrashing it up, right?
Yeah, metal thrash. You don't know this about me, but I'm actually like a very metal thrash and mad kind of guy. I don't talk about it so much. You'll see with all the
records open now.
Yeah, no, everybody's gonna know
about this. Thrash metal. So, Chris, question for you.
Yeah.
In your mind, what is like the first thrash metal record? LP, not just like proto thrash song, just a fully formed LP.
It's got to be Kill 'Em All, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's 83. Like the first Slayer's not till like 6 months later, like at the end of 83. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that even comes close would be Venom, and like it doesn't have that precision that I think about.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's Kill 'Em All is, and you know, like I'm sure somebody out there is gonna be like, well, what about like this like one little thing? But like,
yeah,
look, the people of the day heard the sound through Kill 'Em All. Like that's the shot heard around the world. There's just no question.
Yeah.
And, you know, unless you want to say the No Life Till Leather demo.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, there's like, yeah, I totally agree. So we're talking 1983, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it came out, I'm going to say May or June, maybe. It's a shot in the dark, but I'm sure I've looked it up at some point, and that feels right. So okay. Let us know in the comments.
As always. So I didn't really make any rules except no Big Four. We're not going to show any records by the Big Four, right?
And I'll tell you, I didn't pick any of the Teutonic 3 either.
Hey, me neither. I didn't
right.
talk about this, but I didn't either. No.
I do love all three, but I left them out.
Let's go a little bit deeper, So Chris, before we start, I just want to show one record before I get into the main, the main pile, because this record here was such an important record to a young me. This Speed Kills, and it's interesting. It's 1985, but they call it the very best in speed metal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's not 85. Put out by Metal Forces, and then I think one guy from Shades record shop, the heavy metal shop in London, record shop,
right,
also involved. So I think like Metal Forces were kind of not ahead of the curve, but Kerrang was kind of not really too supportive of thrash, but Metal Forces really were. And so this record was, you can kind of poo-poo the compilation, but when this came out, wow, there you go.
I got a stack of them over here, but
amazing.
That was the one that I pulled out.
Yeah, I mean, so this is just, I think before this I'd only heard like Slayer and Metallica, and Venom, the other bands like Hallows Eve, Destruction, Bulldozer.
Read me the whole list of bands.
All right, so we start off with Hallows Eve, which when I got this, I was like, I thought, what? Because it's more like traditional heavy metal almost, that Hallows Eve song.
It's on the cusp.
It's on the cusp, yeah. But I love Hallows Eve now. I was a bit sort of disappointed. And then you got Exodus, A Lesson in Violence, Destruction, Bestial Invasion. Mm-hmm. There's these little descriptions too. It's like Destruction, Speed, Total Speed, Horrid, but amazing. It's like Bulldozer, Total Venom clones, but better production. Metallica, best track on Ride the Lightning. No commercial wimp out here. 1985, they're already talking about no commercial wimp out. Crazy, right?
I have some zines that are contemporary to that, and they're already talking about. There's already a debate about whether Escape is too commercial, which is just it's absurd. It's so ridiculous.
And then Slayer, like unreleased live version of Evil Has No Boundaries. Possessed Pentagram, The New Gods, Total Thrash Mayhem, Intense, capital letters. Exciter, new song by Canada's #1 power metal. So they're throwing on speed metal, power metal, thrash metal, all on the same record. Then Venom, new version of black metal, Voivod,
Yep.
War and Pain, raw,
Yep.
but total death. Megadeth, Rattlehead, progressive thrash, question mark. And then Celtic Frost, Into the Crypts of Rays. This is my favorite. Euro thrash. It says Euro thrash. Once a joke, these guys now kick serious ass. It's like, but this was such an important record. It was my gateway basically to all of these bands. So
That's a great compilation.
this record, yeah. So I just wanted to show this because very important record, I feel. So Chris, let's start. What have you got?
All right, what should we start with here? Let's start with Incubus.
That's new to me.
Serpent Temptation. This is how you know it's good. It's on Brutal Records.
Brutal Records.
Yes. This one is tough to find now, and it's been reissued on Relapse, but they had to change the name of the band for the reissue to like I don't know how to say it. It starts with an O. If you look up Serpent Temptation, you'll find it. There's like a lot of weird things about it. First of all, it's kind of a Christian lyrically record, and it's super brutal. This is recorded in 88, released I think mid 88.
All right.
And it's almost, the riffs are almost comparable to like Ripping Corpse or Morbid Saint, like kind of similar to maybe like the Creator Pleasure to Kill also. And the vocals are a lot like Creator style. In the 90s, they re-released it, remixed with new vocals that I think got rid of the like sort of quasi-Christian. So there's like a lot of songs that are like about like you know, Armageddon and the end of the world, but they're like kind of like more of a warning about, you know, demonic forces and stuff. So they re-released it in the 90s with different lyrics, and then they've reissued it again on Relapse, and it's the original vocals, original everything, but just the name is changed because they don't have the you know, there'd be legal problems with the name.
Why did they change the name? There's another band called Incubus.
Yeah, like a popular, like a
band?
really big on the radio in the 90s and 2000s.
Okay.
So they probably own, you know, whatever, I don't know if it's a copyright or a trademark. Right. And the first Obituary album has a song called Stinkupus, which evidently was a diss on this from what I've read. And I assume it was because there was some sort of God-fearing element to this. But this record is just, it's so heavy. It's if you can find this, if you can't find it, get the reissue. This is just an all-time favorite. It's really, really good. And it's from Louisiana, I think.
Okay. Wow, that's a new one. That's a new one for me. Yeah.
What have you got? Give me one.
Well, I thought I'd like start off in England because, you know, I think maybe UK thrash, you know, doesn't get the props it deserves sometime. And I'm also going under the premise that, you know, thrash probably started by guys who grew up listening to GBH and Discharge and the new wave of British heavy metal. Those two.
Definitely in England, yeah.
Yeah, so this band is kind of the epitome of that. So Onslaught, of course, I'm talking about. So Onslaught, I'm going to zip through the early years of Onslaught because it's kind of fun to talk about. So they start out, this is the demos. The record's a kind of Back on Black special. But demos, 83, Total Discharge, GBH, Worship.
And they have an unreleased single for Riot City. And it's on there. It's on that compilation. Yeah, it's really
this is okay. It's official. It's not a bootleg. There's liner notes by whatever his name is from the band, like one of the guys. Yeah. I can't read it. It's so small. Yeah, but you know, so you know, they're this like GBH Discharge band. I saw them around just after this time with Chaos UK and Disorder, Onslaught, wow. Chaos UK. That's quite the lineup. So we've got this band. Sounds like Discharge. Sounds like GBH. Fast forward a couple of years later, we've got this, which is kind of like considered a bit of a classic, I guess. You know, it's kind of, there's some Venom in there, but there's still kind of Discharge and GBH in there, bit of Venom. And of course, it's got the Death Side, Metal Side. Did Death Side take their name?
Yeah, I get it.
We don't know. So now we've got who's on. We've got Paul Mahoney is the vocalist on this record. So this
Right.
is like 1985, Power from Hell. Then you fast forward just 1 year, and we've gone from that to this. And so like Paul Mahoney is on bass now. He's not on vocals. Skyclad is the vocalist, and this is like just total early Slayer worship. So they've gone from Discharge and GBH to sounding like Slayer in a year, in the space of a year. Different lineup. And then you move forward another year, Skyclad's out, Steve Grimmett from Grim Reaper is in, and then Anthrax. They're now sort of make a record that like totally sounds like Anthrax. So we've gone from like Discharge, to Venom, Discharge, to Slayer, to Anthrax in the space of 3 years. But
I didn't mean to roll my eyes at Steve Grimmett, but more so at that particular album, that them like pulling him in and just like taking a shot at trying to do an Anthrax record.
This is a fun record. He only sang on this one record and then he was out. They got, I think, Skyclad came back. But it's kind of interesting that Neil Turbin from Anthrax joined them in 2014.
That lasted for like a month or something.
Yeah, and there was some beef and he got sacked, or depending on who you believe. So, yeah. Interesting.
Which is your favorite of those Onslaught
records? You know what? The sort of typical answer would be Power from Hell, but I really like this.
It's been a long time since I've listened. I'm gonna have to go back and check that
one out. It's really good, but this one not so much. But they had the kind of long intro syndrome on a lot of their records, long intros, and then like AC/DC cover on the other record and stuff. But great band. They have a new album out. I've not heard it yet, but I think they're an important band. I just love that transformation from Discharge and GBH to like Slayer, Anthrax.
Yeah, Power from Hell is such a weird record because you can feel that they're coming out of one thing and going into another, and it was released on on metal labels, but also there's a pressing on Pussmort and there's a pressing on COR, right?
This is the Children of the Revolution, like original COR,
right?
Bristol label.
It must have been some punks that were disappointed when that came out.
Well, I remember this gig. There was the funny thing about this gig I remember is I got to the hall, and not all of them, but there was a couple of guys in Chaos UK sat on chairs reading Quran.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was like as stage theater. I get it. Yeah.
No, just like everyone was really getting into metal at that point.
Huh.
Yeah. So it's kind of So,
That's interesting.
yeah.
Is that like short, sharp, shock era Chaos?
Yeah. It would have been around then. Yeah. Very.
Okay,
I don't remember too much about the gig, but yeah.
It must be your memory, no other reason, right?
Yeah. All right, Chris, what you got next, mate?
All right, I know you know this one. Daytona.
Yeah, beautiful.
Often called the American Sacrilege, and that is because it's just like brutal, heavy, mid-pace thrash with like really great, hard female vocals. Dawn Crosby, rest in peace. She's the singer. And I mean, vocally, she could go toe to toe with anybody in the business at the time.
Oh yeah.
The band is super tight, like the production is great. Funny fact is that Ross Robinson is one of the guitar players, and he's now a really big deal. He produced all the Korn records and Limp Bizkit and all that in the 90s. He's a very rich man now. I mean, I picked this up. There's a price tag on here that says $4.99, and I don't know if that's how much this was. I picked this up originally because it looked punk, and then I flipped it over and I saw the picture and it looked metal, and I was like, yeah, I'll check. I used to be able to get a lot of these sort of like lesser known thrash records for super cheap because metal people were just buying CDs at the time for the most part. Yeah, this is good. It is a bit like Sacrilege in a more Americanized, but it's more metal, and I don't know. There's just something weird about the way they put together riffs. They don't sound too much like any band. There's a bit of Exodus in there, maybe a bit of Megadeth. Um, but I've seen pictures of Don wearing GBH shirts too, so I know that they had some punk influence, and obviously,
Yeah.
Recognize No Authority with like a cop attacking somebody, and there's songs on here about nuclear proliferation, and actually there's a few of them. Songs about religion. So I think they were definitely fell more on the punk side, at least lyrically. It's just a great record.
It's got that kind of like street metal vibe to it, like Zoetrope.
Yeah, I think that's a good comparison that I didn't think about. Yeah, like no like spikes and like makeup or
No,
anything. Leather jackets and t-shirts and um, yeah. This is like seriously one of my all-time favorite American thrash records
very
for
cool.
sure.
I kind of guessed you're going to show that, and this is interesting. You talked about Sacrilege, but we also shouldn't forget this band,
Oh yeah, Holy
Germany,
Moses.
Holy Moses, female singer Sabina Klassen, very kind of
Her voice is insane.
insane,
That
right? Also from 1986, the same year that Detente record came out. So got Sacrilege, Detente, and Holy Moses. So, yeah,
that's a
crazy.
great one.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna stay in England with my next pick. Death Wish, at the Edge of Damnation, on Metalworks, which is a subsidiary of AVN, who was owned by John Sherry, who was the manager and producer of Wishbone Ash. So there's your Wishbone Ash
Oh my god.
connection for you. But this is like definitely like there's some real like the GBH beat in this record. There's a couple of songs that have the GBH kind of vocal inflections, really raw production, like 1987. And you can tell these guys are really into like Discharge and GBH and knew what the British heavy metal. I don't know if this is like overlooked or underrated. You don't really see too many people talking about this band, but
I feel like all those UK bands don't really get as much ado. Like I think of that one, and I think of the Virus records also.
I saw Virus with Nuclear Assault, Overkill, Megadeth, Cro-Mags, and Lars Rocket, and Creator.
I've seen either a shirt or a poster for this show.
It's the Christmas on Earth Leeds, like
That's the one.
1988, something like that. They opened, I think, Virus. Yeah. I love this record, man. It's really catchy. It's got really gritty riffs, very punky kind of vibes. Great record. Death Wish, Edge of Damnation, 1987. And then I've got to show the next record because
Yeah, of course.
they kind of upgraded to GWR. Vocal
That's
performance
right.
is a little more polished. Yeah, it's a Demon Preacher. Great name for a record. And they cover Symptom of the Universe on here.
Okay.
I don't think too many people were kind of doing that at the time. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's rather unusual.
Yeah, I think it's better than the Doom version. I don't know. A great band. I love this band. And I think they just broke up after this, I think.
A lot of these thrash bands, they would get signed so fast, they'd pump out, 2 or 3 records, go broke, and that would be, they go back to whatever jobs they had.
Yeah. Very cool band. I'm a big fan of this band. So check them out.
I'm gonna have to check. I know I feel like I've heard them at some point, but I looked and I don't have the records, so I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for those. I've seen them before.
I think they've been reissued, but I could be a Back on Black special.
Eh,
Moving
I bet I can
swiftly
find it.
along, what do you got next?
Okay, all right. So the band Virgin Steel?
I do indeed, yeah.
Okay, they're like a power metal band, kind of like the Poor Man's Manowar.
Good band.
Not a bad band, but in the late '80s, they had just got rid of their guitarist Jack Starr, and both he and the rest of the band owed their manager some money, and so what the manager determined was if both parties could separately create these fake metal bands and release the records as like assumed personas. That, you know, they would be sort of absolved of any financial burden. So there's a bunch of these records. This one's actually the Joe Hasselvander solo album. Joe, who he was later in Pentagram, obviously, and Jack Starr plays the leads on it. This one is Hasselvander, Ned Maloney, and Jack Starr. They're all under, you know, they're like named Anton Phoebes and Matthew Hopkins and Lucifer. These Phantom Lord records, this actually became a real band. These are pretty good, like low grade, like sort of basement thrash. I really like these. And then there is Pile Driver. Gord from Pile Driver had already done one album as Pile Driver, and that was actually put together by a couple of Canadian pop producers. So he wanted to do a follow-up, and he got it's I think it's Dave DeFice and then whoever the drummer was in Virgin Steel just pumped this out in a weekend, and Gord sang over it. This one is Original Sin. This is David DeFice, again, the drummer from Virgin Steel, and David DeFice's sister. And there's even a fake photo, and it was supposed to be sold as an all-female speed metal band. And what it really is just Virgin Steel and the sister of the singer of Virgin Steel singing over it. And this is a really good speed metal record. A little bit power metal, so if you like kind of like more epic stuff, the vocals are very epic. And the best song is Bitches from Hell. Pardon my French, but it's like absolutely the anthem, and it's just like a perfect, sounds like Judas Priest Defenders of the Faith or something. His sister's a great singer, and she never sang on any other metal records. But the best one of all, and I got my check out if you're in the DC area, you can check out Joint Custody Records. It's a plug. This is the best one. This is the Exorcist
killer
LP.
record. I have that.
This is like easily in my top 10 thrash records of any, you know, big four and big three included. It's impossible. This is like the fourth one I've had, and they're always trashed. So this one doesn't look too bad. It's like Venom, but it's got like the choruses of Venom, but kind of like the precision of maybe that first Slayer record, but just all the songs are so memorable. Like Black Mass is memorable, Call for the Exorcist, Death by Bewitchment, like just top to bottom, just like great anthemic, you know, and it's like total like horror movie, like you know, video store intros and interludes, and it's super fun, man. This, like, if you've never heard this record and you like Venom or you like the really early Slayer stuff, like, you owe it to yourself to hear this. It's so good.
I co-sign that 100%. I think I bought that on maybe your recommendation, and yeah, it's so like catchy. It's a real like, you're like, damn, that was a really amazing riff or a cool transition or just an amazing earworm.
I think it's because they were guys that were more like power metal, speed metal guys, you know, that were like interested in hooks and not just brutality. But it sounds authentic, and it sounds like a real band.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, top-notch recommendation. Exorcist, what's the title of the record?
That is Nightmare Theater.
Nightmare Theater by Exorcist. Yeah, check it out. That's a great record. All right, I'm going to stay in England for the next choice. My last one from England. I first heard this band on Friday Rock Show, Tommy Vance. It was a session which has never been released as far as I can tell. Talking about Sabbat. Andy Sneap on guitar. Yeah, they couldn't sign the contract with Noise because he was too young. He was too young to like sign the contract. They had to wait until he was 18 years old.
Oh my God.
To sign. So they had a demo or something. Yeah, so they had to wait until he was 8. So he was like, I don't know, like 16, 17, I guess. But like, what an incredible guitarist. Obviously, he's kind of well known now as a producer, and he's in Judas Priest as well, right? As a live guitarist, right?
Yeah. He plays Glenn's parts.
Yeah. So I mean, the stars of this band are Andy Sneap and then Martin Walker's insane, almost black metalish vocals and the lyricism and the I don't know what to say about this band. I mean, they put out 3 records between like 1987 and 1989, but it's really progressive with lots of twists and turns, but not, but the songs are still really catchy.
It's like the progressive elements of something like Megadeth,
Mm.
or but then it also like it's still like it sounds weird to say it, but it sounds like if Venom were like a very progressive band, and it just I it's like hard for me to like really explain like what Sabbath sounds like except just like really heavy like awesome thrash and just
Yeah,
it goes places you never expect.
it is. It's I mean, it's progressive, but like it's catchy. It's fast. I don't know. It's like I think they were kind of really. I'm saying that ahead of their time, but I don't know. I can't think of any other band that really sounds like Sabbath, like before or after. I don't know.
Like I almost wonder if they influenced bands like Nephilim or anyone like that. You
Maybe.
know, just like that like, because it is like sort of proto black metal vocals and that one's an even crazier record
Oh
too.
man, just absolutely insane. Like, oh man, yeah. Like you said, I just, I don't have the vocabulary. Like, it's too advanced to describe it. And it's like, just,
Yeah, that's a really I mean they have to be what I would consider the best of the
oh,
UK thrash group.
absolutely. But,
I mean they annihilate, artillery or whatever.
Acid Rain,
Acid rain. Yeah, well.
Moshkinstein. Yeah, I mean, absolutely incredible. And then, of course, like, they put out one more record, which I've actually never heard. I've never heard it.
Martin's not on that, right? Am I wrong?
I don't know. I've never heard it.
I think he's not. And
Okay.
I think that's why some people don't like it. And I think one thing a lot of people do like about Sabbath is his sort of occult lyrics and Satanism is like very from the heart.
Right.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
not just a character that he's playing. He considers it, like King Diamond or something.
Yeah. You can.
And so I think for a lot of people, Sabbath without him, I mean, I guess it would be like if the King Diamond Band did a record without him, which I guess there is that record that's just called Fate. And
Yeah. So I guess this record was based on a book by Brian Bates called The Way of Word: The Tales of an Anglo-Saxon Sorcerer. So there you go.
yeah, that fits perfectly.
Right. And
Absolutely.
then of course Martin went on to that other band who are like
Skyclad?
Skyclad, who like they've got some albums that are almost on a par with this. I have to say, there's a couple. There's that obviously folk element, which they had more on some records than others. But
But they come from a real pedigree because the couple of the guys from Satan are playing in that band as well.
I enjoy that band. I mean, they've got like 17 albums out now.
They have so much stuff.
Yeah, but the early ones I can hang with. I almost showed them, but I was like, no, let's just stick with let's just stick with
Fair
Sabbath
enough.
for today. Yeah, so yeah,
Um,
best of British for sure.
how many did I do? 3? Did I only do 2? Shit.
I think like, I think you did like 2 main ones with like lots of like side orders.
Yeah, no, wait, I did basically 3. I did because I did Exorcist Daytime. All right.
Right.
Let's see, what do I have here? I'm just gonna flash these in front of the camera.
Okay.
There's my German representation from
What was
Poison, more of a blackened,
All right.
sort of beyond.
Okay.
This is the Numbskull record. If you never heard Numbskull Ritually Abused and you like that Incubus record that I showed, or you like Morbid Saint, if you like Ripping Corpse, you must hear it. Incredible record. I think it's from Wisconsin or Milwaukee, and they thank Morbid Saint on here, so you know that it's in the same realm. It's a little less brutal, but 9 out of 10 instead of 10.
I think it might be a good chance just to hold up what we're talking about. We've mentioned Morbid Saint a few times.
There it is, the Spectrum.
Yeah. So this band has a kind of like real higgledy-piggledy like history, I think they started in like 1984, but didn't put out their first demo until 1988, something like that.
It seems like they were a band that was just kind of playing parties for a while.
Well, there's that video in the woods, on YouTube.
Yep.
Amazing. But,
and that video in the woods.
Yeah, where are they from? They're from like...
They're an Illinois band.
Yeah, they're from Wisconsin, I think.
Oh, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Look, fly over states, please.
And then like they didn't put out the first demo until '88, and then this is from 1990, right? The first album.
Yeah,
And then they
89.
broke up in '94, didn't finish the second album, reformed in 2010, put out a live album recorded in Beijing.
Yep.
I mean, just a real higgledy, like it's all over the place. And then
It's very
recently
fly
they
by
kind of
night.
finally reached, they put out the second album that was recorded like in 1992. They just finally kind of put it out. Destruction System.
It's not bad,
Okay,
but it's not on the level of Spectrum of Death.
This is crazy. 1990. It's on the cusp of like death metal. You know, it's that thrash, almost death, bit of creator.
I think it's like as brutal as you can be and still be a thrash metal band.
Yeah.
And it's like the last, like the dying breath of thrash metal, because after that, there's nowhere to go except, you know, pure death metal.
Yeah, this and like Demolition Hammer 2 were kind of like.
That's the other one. That's the one I'm leaving out. Yeah.
But yeah, 1990, Morbid Saint. Amazing.
Crushing.
Yeah.
All right. Gotta show the Hobbs Angel of Death real quick.
Yes,
just for the picture of these guys with the kangaroos, because it's an Australian record. But this is another excellent, like pretty much Slayer Hell Awaits clone. Just really good stuff. Both of the Holy Terror records. This is kind of more of a power thrash.
Man, you know what? I've been trying to find that one of those. Yeah, Holy Mind Wars. Can't find that anywhere. It's like I've got the other one, but yeah.
And this had one of the guys from Agent Steel in it, so
right.
You know, again, great pedigree there. I've been listening, you know, because I pulled out all these records to play when we were going to do this episode. I've been listening to that first Holy Terror a lot. I used to listen to it all the time. Haven't listened to it in years. But on to the main event here.
All right.
As you can see, I'm wearing the Dark Angel Leaf Stars tour shirt. And so I debated which one I was going to go with, because I love these albums basically equally. I know that Darkness Descends is the one for a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, it's a perfect thrash album, as good as Rain and Blood.
Yeah.
I was looking at it and I noticed they thank Uniform Choice in it. So
really,
it puts it, actually one member specifically. So they must have loaned him a bass head or something like that. But you know, this is an album that's very close to my heart.
That's a chaotic record. It's kind of
insane. This unfortunately, this is just a test press with this is a proof of the cover. Yeah. So this is my Darkness Descends test press. The record itself is not very interesting. It's just blank white labels. So that's Darkness Descends. But for me, Leave Scars, man. This is basically their comeback record, and I have a test of this too. They lost their singer, Don Dottie, in like 87 after Darkness Descends came out. They did a tour with another guy whose name I'm not remembering. They didn't get Leave Scars out until 89. So, like, if you think about it, this is already, like, Slayer's already, like, basically commercial. Like, the Entombed record is already either about to come out or has come out. You know, a couple of those other early ones, like First Morbid Angel and Pestilence, I think are all, like, around the same time. So this is already kind of, like, an obsolete style. But it's just so heavy and so technical. It has one of the best thrash productions, and unfortunately, the cover is terrible. It's like a little kid hiding from a monster in the closet. They should have put this on the cover.
Yeah,
this image of this guy getting ripped apart by a monster or something. Much cooler, much more brutal. But you know, even the Zeppelin cover on this, which is a little bit silly, it doesn't even bother me.
What do they cover on that?
They do Immigrant Song, and it's. So if you notice around 88, 89, every thrash metal record, except the big four pretty much, has a classic rock cover on it. You know, like Testament did Aerosmith, and
they did.
So I just take, to me, that's just, you know, part of the price of admission. But the main songs, like Death of Innocence, No One Answers, Cauterization is like a 7-minute instrumental that's just like insane. It's just like they took every riff that didn't have a home in the other songs and put them all into one 7-minute song. Leave Scars, the song is great. If you've only heard the early Dark Angel stuff, you got to hear this. And this is some of the best Gene Hoglan drumming ever. And see, can you see him there? Sorry about all the glare, but he looks cool as hell.
Yeah.
And I did bring my other Dark Angel records too. This one's signed by a guy who didn't play on it. He was like in a later version of the band. And then, of course, Time Does Not Heal, the 246 riff masterpiece. But for me, Leave Scars, the ultimate Dark Angel record. Dark Angel, to me, cooler than the Beatles.
Can't say fairer than that. I've not heard that record. I've got to. I don't know.
Oh my God, dude, you must.
It's good. It's good to keep
I
things
insist.
back though. It's good for my retirement. It's got to keep some things back. Just going back to that cover version thing. I think that was like a thing where like in the 70s, like bands like the Scorpions and UFO would do like Eddie Cochran songs and stuff. It's like a nod to the roots. I think that's what these guys are doing, right? So a nod to the roots. I think that's probably what that was about.
I think it was also maybe a way that they thought they could get a song on the radio a little easier. That's just my guess.
Yeah, I guess Onslaught did Let There Be Rock, and then Death Wish did Central Universe too. So yeah.
You ever heard that Gothic Slam record where they do Thunder and Lightning by Thin Lizzy?
No.
It's really good. It just sounds like Leeway or something, because they thrash it up more, and there's no keyboards.
Wow.
It's cool.
All right. Okay, I've stayed in England too long. It's time to go elsewhere with these guys.
Oh.
The Three Tonys from like New Jersey. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is an insane record. It's so like it does make you want to like. The first song is Stage Dive, and it does make you want to stage dive with the nearest piece of furniture. It's got that hardcore street metal vibe to it too. It's like deranged riffs and vocals, 3-piece, and they were on that Speed Metal Hell compilation, right, on New Renaissance. That was their first appearance, I think. This is the first.
Lots of Exodus style in that, although almost came out at the same time, so I don't think it was a ripoff, but it's similar to that. I mean, you got to mention the Sean Taggart cover art was very controversial in New York because it was a metal hand crushing the head of a guy with a shaved head, so it could be construed as metal eating hardcore. But luckily, I think they had some back. I think maybe a couple of the Agnostic Front guys sing the gang vocals on that album, so they got away with it.
Tony Scaglione, pronunciation's a bit off. He played in Cause for Alarm later.
He did. And Tony Bono played Into Another.
I know. For us punks,
Yep.
Punk.
Got to know everybody's lineage.
Yeah, I don't know what the other Tony did, but yeah.
He kept doing. He stayed in Whiplash because he's the main guy.
Okay. Cool.
So he's on every Whiplash record. The other guys kind of left. So they broke up the perfect trio of guys named Tony.
Yeah, and I've got to say, like the last track, "Nailed to the Cross."
That's a.
Yeah.
I mean, that song is just like absolutely like an anthem. Like whenever I make like a mixer of like thrash metal on my phone or my iPod or whatever, that always has to go on.
Yeah, it's such an amazing way to kind of finish off the record. So yeah, Whiplash, Power and Pain. Classic. Yeah, second LP's good too, though, right? I don't have it.
Yeah, it's not bad. It also suffers from ugly cover art. Like,
oh man, I didn't buy that record for the longest time.
It looks stupid. It's like an evil circus or something. I don't need that.
All right.
Okay. Look, I brought one of my favorite labels is New Renaissance Records. Right. And the night metal adjacent thing is that it was run by Anne Boleyn, who is the vocalist of Hellion.
Yes.
Who were managed by Ronnie Dio and Wendy Dio, but also were just like absolute night metal. Like the whole whole 9 yards. So I was trying to pick. To me, this label, again, for you movie fans out there, is kind of like the New World Pictures of metal. Like, it's just like the equivalent of like a direct to the video store production house. You know, it's like it's a little bit cheap. It's like
a little bit
very
like Mother Records, kind of.
yeah. It is kind of like that, actually. It's just like it's a little bit more homemade, but it's such a cool label. They did actually a ton of compilations, and bands would submit songs on demos, and then they'd get a letter back and say, we're going to use this song or whatever. But a lot of these so first of all, almost all the comps on the label you can get for like 10, 15 bucks, 20 bucks,
nice.
20 bucks or less. But tons of the bands never did records on these. They had demos or whatever sessions, but there's still a ton of bands on these comps that just never made it to a proper record, especially at the time. And then, they put out like so much like sick, demented stuff. This is Unsane. I hope you can see this psychopath here.
Man. Franco and Skins.
Yeah. They did license the third Bathory record, so this is how
cool.
they stole that out from under Combat's feet, and that's probably the biggest thing that they released. They also licensed Morbid Visions by Sepultura, and I forgot to grab that. They did Wehrmacht. So this is pretty cool. They did the first Necrophagia record, which I can't believe.
That's insane.
It's barely music, but I have a lot of goodies with these, and that's one reason I like the label. Is there's 8x10s for all these bands, and there's these press sheets, which, let's see, this one says the band is influenced by Celtic Frost, Bathory, Sodom, Slaughter, and all hardcore bands. All of them.
Even Uniform Choice.
I swear, the bass player's wearing a Uniform Choice in the insert, a Uniform Choice shirt. Damn. And there's like 3 or 4 Agnostic Front shirts, and like they really were influenced by all of hardcore.
What's his name? The vocalist, Killjoy.
Killjoy, rest in peace. He was a fixture just for Sick Freaks for a long time, and he kept the band going for quite a while. Blood Feast was another one they put out. This is a New Jersey band.
That's another amazing band, yeah.
And I got all kinds of weird Blood Feast stuff. That's a test press of the Face Fate record, but it's also got like all this press material in it. But then I have another copy of Face Fate, and this is the thing I really love. Correspondence with Blood Feast letterhead and a watermark, and they all say things like Rage On, Blood Feast. So this is some guy's entire 5-piece letter writing campaign with Blood Feast. Those records absolutely shred. Here's a blue vinyl one. But the record that I ultimately settled on was Dream Death, Journey into Mystery. And this is just a label like Combat would never put this out. This one's on blue vinyl, and they're from Pittsburgh. They went on to do the band Penance, but this has got to be the first band in America, and maybe the first band anywhere, that was a total Celtic Frost ripoff that put out a record. This is so much like To Megatherion, but totally Americanized. It doesn't have any of the weird, it's a bit more straightforward and also a bit more doomy. This one has the hype sticker, which you probably can't read because I'm holding it up to a tiny webcam.
Yeah.
But it says, Dream Death gets my vote for Metal Album of the Year. Some guy. And here's the test press with a different piece of cover art and some press info. I mean, this is one of my all-time favorite 80s metal records. It's just like, it's thrashy, but there's a lot of mid-pace stuff. It's super chunky. A lot of songs based on little Lovecraft novellas and stuff like that. I don't know. The thing about New Renaissance is just you get bands that are a little more off the beaten path. A lot of labels like Combat, Metal Blade, kind of would take like the middle of the road, the easy sell. And these ones, they're just a little more weirder, and they have a little more personality. And some of them are more extreme. Some of them are just like a little bit bizarre, and they're all so cool. They have like you know, you can tell they're made with love, and you can tell that the people putting them out, even if they didn't like, even if they were just trying to push out some product because they knew that metal was hot, you know, they seem to have some kind of actual, you know, they wanted to like curate some kind of vibe, you know, and a lot of times it was whatever the most sick and depraved thing they could get.
Some of those bands like Necrophagia and Blood Feast, just insane music. It's like
absolutely, like there will never be music like that again.
No. You can't recreate that.
No.
Well, Chris, I think that's like the perfect way to finish this episode because I can't top any of that. So,
all right. I'm sorry if I dominated, but I did tell you I was a metal thrashing maniac.
That's more than I could ever wish for. So, I think our message is, you know, there's a lot more to thrash than the big four, the bigger German three. So, have a little dig deep.
Collect them all.
They always dig deep. So, thanks, Chris. Next time, Doom, right? Next episode.
Yeah, we got to do it before Halloween.
All right, we'll do that for sure. I'll start work as soon as this video is finished. All right, until next time. Thanks, Chris. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
Until next time, stay healthy and stay clean.